This is exactly the same whiskey, just split into two different maturation techniques, one in glass with wood staves, the other in a bad mo barrel. It is 4 months old. I think it's about time to check in on it and see how it's tasting. How's it going, chasers? I hope you're having a kick-ass week. I'm Jesse, this is Still It, and today we are tasting my corn whiskey. I made this about 4 months ago. It is 100% corn and water and yeast, obviously. And to be honest, I actually did a few other different tests in terms of yeast and distilling on grain versus off grain, that kind of stuff. If you want to check all of that out, you can check the video out. I'll put a link in the description down below because these cards just don't work for some people for some reason. But trust me, guys, that was a really good video. I'm really proud of it. I'm very proud of this whiskey as it's turning out at the moment, but it has been a little while since I've checked in on it, especially this guy here. So, let's just get stuck in, shall we? While I'm getting this ready, I have to say, guys, yes, apparently we mentioned Badmo on the channel a few times, and you guys loved his product so much that they completely sold out. So then he made a bunch more, and you guys bought all of that as well. So, a little bit of patience, guys. Trust me, I love the barrels. The guy is awesome. He's not being slack. It's just the way these things go with little businesses. And apparently you guys blew his business up. So, awesome. I love the fact that you're into it. I think he has an email waiting list on his website now. So if you want to sign up on that and be the first people to know when he has barrels in stock. Anyway, let's get on with it. Can I do this from here? This seems sketchy. Hold on. Let's smell them both first, shall we? Both of these were fermented with the same yeast. So it is the AM1 by Angel Yeast, which is more of I guess it's more of a Scotch style yeast. And the reason I mention that, and I go back over it, is because that is showing up a lot right now. The more I use that yeast, the more I'm getting to know it, and the more I'm able to kind of detect the specific flavor profiles and esters that it throws. And it kind of adds a little bit of fruitiness and softens everything down. When I say that, what I mean is it kind of masks or accentuates the grains a little bit more, and the spirit and the wood. So it adds kind of another layer of dimension and complexity into a product compared to a more traditional corn style whiskey yeast, like a bourbon style yeast, or a really neutral beer yeast. And I think beer is kind of an analog for this. If you're into beer and you know what an English bitter tastes like compared to a super freaking clean, maybe even like a Pilsner made with an American ale yeast that's super clean. The more neutral yeast lets the ingredients shine through as they are. This kind of thing seems to put a little bit of special dust over the top and kind of bring everything together into something a little bit more cohesive. I'm rambling. Let's taste. Okay, yep. So in some ways, it's exactly what I expected the difference between these to be. In other ways, it's not, but now that I think about it, it should be. How I thought about it. Sorry, that doesn't make any sense. Let me explain. Before doing this side by side, I 100% expected this to have more wood influence at this point in time. Less liquid, higher ratio between wood surface area to liquid. So I expected there to be more wood flavor. And even I had thought maybe a little bit more of the wood sort of sweetness, the wood sugars coming through. And that's 100% happening over here. Perceived sweetness as well, so vanilla, there's more vanilla over here. On this side, those flavors are a lot more restrained and muted at the moment. But what I didn't expect to happen at this point in time is to be getting more complexity from this side at this point in time. I just had that pegged as a barrel thing. And when I say more complexity, I'm getting more interesting fruit esters coming from this. Specifically, juicy peach, quite a lot of it actually, dried apricot, a little bit of kind of dark plum sort of flavors, and then actually a decent wallop of cherry. It's subdued, but it's definitely there. On this side, I'm not getting nearly as much of that. And I guess coming into this, I associated more of those complex flavors with a barrel because that's what barrels do, but I'd forgotten about the fact that that tends to happen over a longer period of time, right? Perhaps those chemical reactions in the whiskey are happening more predominantly sooner because there's more wood stuff in solution to react. I'm guessing that's what the case is. I'm also thinking that char and toast is a little bit heavier on this. So instead of it kind of flirting between light or white stone fruit and dark stone fruit, it's erring much more towards the dark side of things. There's not a lot of cherry. There is a whole lot of kind of almost, there's no peach, not a whole lot of vanilla at this point in time either, but there is kind of almost like fig through to caramelized, almost burnt fig, not in a bad way, like creme brulee burnt. So that's really interesting. I think that sums up the differences between these two at this point in time pretty well. And I'll talk about what I think is going to happen in the future, but I want to get back to the similarities between these at the moment because that's kind of what I'm proud of at this point in time. There is a whole lot of corn flavor happening here. It is probably actually too much in some ways for some people. Depending on what you're into, it's almost somewhere between cornbread and a corn tortilla. Yeah, cornbread, somewhere between cornbread and corn tortilla. At the moment, I think that's working better in this right now. Not in terms of what it's going to turn into or potential for the future or any of that. Just straight up, which would I prefer to drink now? Probably this one. Definitely this one, actually, because those cornbread, almost corn tortilla notes are playing really nicely with the peach, actually, and the thick, sweet feeling mouthfeel gives a luxurious long finish. It's not unlike having crumpets with butter and honey. Yeah, or biscuits with butter and honey. I also think I nailed the cuts on these. They're still slightly shiny, but it's young whiskey and I'm wanting to age it for a long time. So I think that's honestly a good thing. This one presents a little bit more shiny or Sharpie-like than this because it doesn't have that extra wood flavor to kind of round it out. But once again, I'm not worried about it at all. In just a second, I want to tell you what I think might potentially happen to these in the future. But first, a huge thank you to the Patreons. Thank you, Patreons, for being the people that support me day in, day out, month in, month out. I thoroughly appreciate it. And yes, I do need to get back to answering those messages. So I'll make sure to do that right after I've finished this because I will have a happy little buzz on after recording 2 or 3 of these videos in a row. Anyway, the future. What do I think the future holds? Neither of these are showing any signs of needing to come out of maturation anytime soon. This doesn't have a single hint of anything acrid, anything bitter, anything spicy even. And I think in both of these, it's a testament to the fact that I've switched to using better oak. Guys, it makes a difference. It really does. It's pretty obvious that this is getting a whole lot more interaction with the wood at the moment, and it's going to have to come off the wood sooner rather than this because of that. So right now, the spirit's just getting better and better and better. Everything that's happening in there is improving it as an overall spirit. Eventually, though, some of those things are going to come out that happen when you oak something too long and start, it'll peak and it'll start falling off, and I'll need to get it out of here and bottle it. This, on the other hand, will do that as well, but it's going to do that much, much, much later. So if I had to guess right now, I'm going to age this for 12, 14 months is probably where I think it'll peak. This, I don't know, man. I haven't been around that long yet. maybe 2 to 5 years will be what I'm looking at. And right now, the aged in glass version is just a better whiskey at this point in time. But at some point in time, this is going to peak, and this is potentially, 2 years later, I think is going to surpass it. It's just going to have more time. It's going to develop more complexity, esterification, transesterification, oxidization. All those things are going to have more time to do their work before the oak gets too much. It's a guess, but it's kind of an educated guess. So anyway, guys, if you are thinking of trying something like this, I would 100% recommend doing it because it's delicious. It's really good. This is one of the few spirits that I've tried where I think, yes, that's going to be tasty as is without needing to tweak anything in the future that I've made personally. So if you're thinking about it, give it a go, 100%. Check that link in the description down below and give it a nudge. If you're after the barrels, sign up, and Bad Mo's going to do his very best to get more barrels out soon. If you've enjoyed this video, please, guys, do all the YouTube-y stuff. Subscribe if you haven't subscribed yet to make sure you get to see more videos like this. Hit it with a thumbs up. That'll help me out a whole lot. And if you've had a similar experience in terms of flavor profiles with maturation with 100% corn whiskey, or something that you think parallels it and that can add to the discussion, hit it in the comment section down below. And I'll catch you next time, guys. Keep on chasing the craft. See ya.